Welcome to part 24 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger, my story about surviving an attempted unaliving and the corruption and cover-up that ensued. A-list celebrities, politicians, and their offspring are involved in this story. Okay, so this is just continuing over from part 23, and we're still in the same hearing. We're downtown in Judge Mader's courtroom, and it's all about Maurice Driz trying to get out of the probation violation of the big, narcotic firearm raid. So, Mark Worksman, his attorney, is like, Your Honor, I'm going to prove that Maurice never said that statement about, the pew-pew was just a family heirloom. He's trying to say the probation department high-risk GPS officer is lying, and that the dozen or so officers that were witness to this statement by Maurice, that they're all lying. Trust my client, Maurice, who's a proven liar. So he says, okay, I'm going to put him on the stand, Maurice on the stand, and he would tell Your Honor that he did not know that the pew-pew was there. The word heirloom does not even enter his vocabulary. So he gets him on the stand, and so here's the thing. The Drizes, the twins, they're from Argentina. Their first language is Spanish, but they've been living here 45 plus years. They went to high school at Beverly Hills High School. And they have strong vocabularies. They were using words in the civil trial like interim and stuff like that. Come on. And now he puts Maurice on the stand for the sole purpose of making Maurice look like he's only got a 12-word vocabulary, and that heirloom is a huge thing. He even said at one point, and it's not in the transcript, but we were present for this hearing, and at one point Mark Worksman was like, for all we know, heirloom could mean a tomato. He was maybe talking about tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. That was such BS. So, Maurice Driz, he takes the stand and he says Spanish is his first language. He denies saying the heirloom statement about the pew-pew, so he's saying that the officer was lying. Mark Worksman asks him, did you tell anybody that the pew-pew that was discovered in Alberto's bedroom, was an heirloom? And he goes, I don't know what an heirloom was. I never heard that word before. By the way, we were sitting there and he was really doing this whole struggling to grasp the English language thing, and we know he doesn't speak like that. He was literally sitting there how you say cucumber? It was just such BS from beginning to end. So he's lying about all this, saying the cops lying, everybody's lying. He then admits that that's not his home address. He actually lives most of the week at his daughter Tawnya Driz's house in Torrance. Apparently she lives there, and he's been living there, but he forgot to tell probation. That in itself is a probation violation, to not give all your addresses or anything to probation. He says the reason he didn't tell probation was because they never asked. So because they didn't say, hey, quick question, do you live with your daughter Tawnya Driz in Torrance? Had they asked that, he would have said yes. So that's his excuse, which the Judge Mader is totally fine with, by the way. So then, DDA Higgins, because he's amazing, he just starts going off. He's just making really, really valid points. Here we go. Okay, so he says, the judge says, okay, so the people have the burden of proving that he didn't know about, this pew-pew. And it's didn't we just do that with the two witnesses? Okay, whatever. So she says, Mr. Higgins, what do you have to say? Please make it brief. I'm very familiar with everything that's gone on in this case. You're telling the DDA to, not have details when this is not just us. This is you guys. This is everybody's, safety is at risk. And she's like, wrap it up. I don't need the details. Lady, you're terrible. You're terrible at what you do, and you're terrible as a person. So DDA Casey Higgins says, okay, they conducted and engaged in behavior that shows that they're not amenable to rehabilitation and supervision. There's been all sorts of problems going on in probation. They reported intoxicated, as we've discussed before, to the jail facility. And the judge says, yeah, but I found him not in violation because nobody told him specifically not to show up, wasted, and fight cops. Nobody said that specifically. So, great. Then the DDA responds, okay, well, I bring this all up as a totality of the circumstances. You look at past performance. It's just unbelievable that he had no idea about a loaded pew-pew in his brother's room that's unlocked, a location that he tells probation he lives at. But then when he comes here, he says, well, that's not really where I live. I actually live with my daughter. Oh, I didn't tell probation that I live with my daughter. That, again, is not being subject to rehabilitation on probation. How can officers truly see if he's in compliance if they don't even know where he really lives? such a great point. And it's also just critical thinking skills. This is what he's the only person. Casey Higgins is the only person that displayed any critical thinking skills out of all the judges, the other DDAs, everybody. It's crazy. So he continues and he says, Maurice should be found in violation. Additionally, the crime of a felon in possession of a firearm is not that you personally own it. 2 or more people can have constructive possession. It's access and right to it. He had access and control and right to that pew-pew with no locks on the doors and no locks on the dresser. That's not even an opinion. That's just facts and the law. That's it. So Maurice's attorney gets up and he goes, these are 2 61-year-old twins who are on probation after a devastating situation of their own making. We were present for this, and I remember him saying that quietly after. He says, they've done their jail time. They've lost everything financially and their business. Then he says that their PO officer who's attached to the case, DENISE MONTALVO, it'd be interesting if she ever had any student loans paid off or a brand new car around early 2018, late 2017 of this. It'd be really interesting to find that out. He says, DENISE MONTALVO reported to the court after this raid happened in the arrests that Mr. Driz is amenable to probationary supervision. Probation thinks he's in compliance and recommended even if he were in violation, that he be reinstated under the same conditions, no jail time. Ms. Montalvo is happy with his performance, with full knowledge of this incident. So, great. There's a lot of people involved in this breakdown of the judicial system. So then Judge Mader responds, this is crazy, and I quote, I don't find Maurice's testimony credible. A police officer or a PO wouldn't make this up. I do find that he is in violation of his probation by not being truthful to the court about the gun. We were so excited in the back row. She says, Maurice has already spent 32 days in county jail, though, as opposed to the cushy Seal Beach situation. So I'm not going to add any additional jail time. Like, that's been enough, right, guys? She says the max she could have given him in this hearing is 7 years in state prison, but she's not going to do that. She says, I'm just tired of the whole scenario involving the Driz brothers and what's going on probation. Mr. Driz, you are on notice. If you violate probation, I'm going to impose 7 years, mister. So that'll show him. That'll teach him. So that's it. Then Mark Worksman, the attorney for Maurice, says, their probation officer, DENISE MONTALVO, also asks that we remove AA meetings from their requirements because Maurice wants to travel to Mexico twice a month for business. We're not going to tell you what the business is, but he just needs to go to Mexico twice a month. And if he does that, he can't do AA classes. And the judge responds, puts her thinking cap on very momentarily, and she says, always from the beginning, alcohol played an important role. He had alcohol in his system at the Seal Beach jail. So I think alcohol is a big deal here. I'm going to delete AA from his probation requirements. Boom. That's it. So then, that's over. We're in shock. I'm bawling in the back row, just bawling. DDA Higgins then says, okay, well, one more thing. The plaintiffs here, they told us that Shawn Driz violated his probation again at the probation violation at the hearing. Probation hearing in the airport court last week. He said, have a nice day to the plaintiffs. And the judge says, they have a protective order. And the DDA is like, yeah, they do. And he broke it again. And the judge turns to Maurice and she goes, hey, don't do that. Okay, hearing's over. So that was it. Oh, she added 7 years probation. That was it. So 7 years probation for all of this. No jail time, nothing like that. And it's over. Oh my God, only 1 minute left. Oh, I don't know if I can fit this, but after court, me, my brother, and all of my friends that witnessed, we went and caught up with PO Don Contreras, the one who was the investigating officer who took the stand. And we were so upset. We're like, why didn't you arrest Shawn Driz? Just because he's not there. You found all of the narcotics and the weapons. Why didn't you arrest him? And she was so angry. And in front of all of us, she said, Shawn must know someone very, very powerful. We were told to stand down, that we weren't allowed to arrest him. And if we were going to arrest him, it would have to be at his new address at his girlfriend's house in Brentwood. He moved addresses after the raid and the arrests, like that night or the next day. He moved over there. And we were told if we wanted to do another one of these surprise probation searches, it would have to be at his girlfriend's house in Brentwood. And we were told to stand down. She was mad. She was really mad about this. Rightfully so. And we all heard what she said, and I'll just end it there. It's going to get crazy. TMZ is in the next part. Thanks, guys.